Hey everyone, it's Jolt here. I have a special video for you today. This is the raw recording of the Techno-Visual PKM community kickoff session. This is something that I wanted to do for such a long time. A club where we develop and learn Obsidian scripting and automation together. Scripting like data view, templater, Excalibur Automate, Obsidian API, plugin development, and anything else that people bring to the table. I'm thinking that this is going to be a members only club, which means that I'm not going to be publishing future videos here. So please follow me on Twitter, on Discord, or here on YouTube, and I'll be publishing information about how you can join this club later on. For now, this is the kickoff that was available only to the students and alumni of the Visual Thinking Workshop. I hope you like it. Let me know in the comments. Are you interested in joining? What other topics would you bring into this discussion, and what would make this even more helpful for you? Enjoy. I just want to mention that I'm going to be recording this session, and then we will see if I'm going to use this or not. My idea was that I'll record this as a pilot session for what might in the future be Techno-Visual PKM, which would be this idea of exploring Obsidian, Excalibur, data view, templater, and anything else that comes to mind to achieve PKM-ish type of stuff with automation. And this is what I call Techno-Visual PKM. I was thinking that maybe this could be a course. I'm not sure that I want to build a course around it, but maybe a club. And then we've been chatting about this with Nadav, and he came with this idea for a script, and I thought, why not? Let's have a bit of a community session, and let's see if we can create this. So that's why I'm recording the session, and then, yeah, if it goes terribly, then we'll just quietly close the discussion. If it goes mildly good or good, then I probably will publish this on YouTube. So yeah, just to for you to know what I'm planning to do. And I would say let's jump in. So I think, Nadav, if you can explain the script you had in mind, and then let's see how we can progress, and yeah, let's see where we get to with the conversation.
Yeah, wonderful. I'm glad to see everyone here. I've been working a lot with the Excalibur plugin, and one thing that I've noticed is sometimes when I'm working with different, sort of grouping things. For example, the size guide is made up of smaller rectangles, and sometimes it's difficult when I'm working with a lot of layers to be able to grab the whole thing and move it, and so you end up having to do these workarounds. So I was thinking if there was a way to take some elements and group them permanently, almost like the metaphor I was using was baking them together. It'd be great to have that, because then, yeah, you could then, instead of dealing with, a bunch of grouped elements, you can create one big one and never have to go back to grouping and ungrouping and figuring out which layer you're on when you're moving things around. So that was the idea.
Yeah, but so help me, because there are two questions that immediately come to mind. So first of all, am I sharing my screen? Not yet. If I look at the size guide, so this is my size guide. If I look at the size guide, this is already grouped. So help me. So if I add certain elements on top, be it whatever. So I've added a couple of elements, because this is grouped, I can select it. So what's
so sometimes what I'll do is I'll duplicate all of it, and then I'll have, let's say, like four, and then I group those together.
Mhm.
Um, let's say I'm trying to find it in order to unlock and lock, and if I double click on them sometimes, it ends up selecting the individual
Yeah, I mean,
original.
so double clicking will select the individual item, yes, but yeah. So one thing to keep in mind, and I think that's an important point, that I can, and then we'll look into the script as well. So I think we are going to be doing some scripting, but I think it's also good to just explore what other options we have. So first of all, if I now select everything here and click lock all, so now everything is logged, you can unlock everything. So there's the unlock all, which will unlock everything, or you can unlock groups. So in terms of the circles, I can only unlock them one by one because I didn't group them, but the size guide in the background, I can right click and ungroup it in one go, and then manipulate it and then lock it back in. So I think in this regard, this is not bad. Now, in terms of the circles, I will need to go one by one and unlock them, which, yeah, it is not great. So before locking stuff, I like to group them based on some logic, and then lock them, because that's going to help me unlock in groups. So now I have two items, or actually many items locked, but groups I can unlock in one go. So I think that's that's something to keep in mind. The other bit that occurs to me is there's a super powerful script, many powerful scripts, but so if consider this situation, and I can see your grouping problem emerge in such a situation. So imagine this, that you have all these elements in a drawing, and maybe I have some red arrows here like this, maybe, and some black arrows, etc. And for whatever reason, I want to change the color of the black arrows. So I actually, let's just lock that. I only want to change the black arrows and not the red ones. And there can be many situations like this in terms of selecting lines of certain length or whatever. Of course, I can hold down the shift and select elements. That's one way to go. But I also have a script called Select Similar Elements. And here I can choose. So I need to select before running the script, I need to select one sample that is going to be the basis of my selection, and then select similar elements. And here I can choose the properties of what I want to select. In this case, I want to select the black arrows. This is a relatively simple setup, and if I click run, then all my black arrows are now selected. So if I'm able to define the type of object based on some properties, then I have this selection approach, and then I can change their colors to whatever color I want to. So help me, Nadav, and of course others as well. So feel free to chip in. This is not just a discussion between Nadav and I, but he was the trigger for the topic. So help me if these approaches get you closer to what you need and what you're still missing.
Yeah, I need to. Let me pop into my Scalger and see if I can replicate the thing real quick. Let's see. Give me a few minutes. I'm just gonna see if I can. Yeah.
Because I actually use this pretty extensively. So here's a typical, well, I wouldn't say typical situation, but something I did recently. So I created this grid for myself. So I had this custom length lines like this, and I had another grid. Well, it was a grid. So I had these lines as well. And so in this case, what I wanted to do is I wanted to select all the horizontal lines. And so that would again be shift click, shift click, shift click. That if you have many of the lines, it's difficult. Select similar elements. I can select that I want the lines, and it also has the, does it not? Interesting. Why don't I see the interesting width? Huh. Let's see. Did I not? Select similar. Script is up to date. It's interesting because I'm missing here the length. Similar elements. Stroke color. Because the width. Yeah, it's interesting. So now I'm surprised because I wonder what I'm now doing wrong here. But some things.
And Jalt, whenever you're ready, I do have one of the size guides that I can show. I can share my screen.
If you can, that's yeah.
Okay, let's see.
So is there a difference between width and stroke width?
Again, is there any difference between?
I think there was an option which said height and width, but there was also stroke width.
Yeah, the stroke width is not the right value for us. So the stroke width is the boldness of the line. So
okay.
So that
I see. And the width is not the length. That's not what you were looking for.
That is the length, but I wonder why it's 0. So that's where I'm surprised, to say the least. I really don't understand. Let's reinstall this script, because, and we'll look at your screen, Nadav, in a second. Let me just select similar. I'm just going to reinstall this and let's see. Still no width. We'll check out the width as well. Hold on. Let's first look at Nadav, your screen, and then I'm going to check out the what's up with this width, because that is right now very strange. Oh boy.
Yeah, so I have this size guide, which you can see is made up of these smaller elements. And I was having this issue a bit when I was trying to erase the size guide when I was doing the visual workshop cohort 10. And what I ended up doing was I guess I'm trying to replicate exactly what happened, but sometimes it was difficult for me to figure out how to select. Once I was unlocking it, how to select the entire grid, and then if I tried to, let's say there were a bunch of elements, let's say in the foreground, this would select all of them, although I see now that, it's allowing me to do this. But basically what I ended up doing was I would go through and kind of delete each element, one by one, because I was having problems getting the whole thing selected. So what I was thinking about was if there's a way to, to have the whole thing together, then there won't be any memory of it being constructed of these individual small elements. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And so what I'm thinking is we can. So I still see value in doing the script idea that I had, and I think but equally, what I'm thinking is you could so in this case, if I ungroup this, so I'm going to unlock and I'm going to ungroup these lines. So now everything is unlocked, ungrouped. So this is the type of situation you're in. I'm going to delete these. So everything is an individual item here, and you want to just select the grid and nothing else. That's your fundamental issue.
Yeah.
So in this case, actually the select similar elements would work well, because I can choose select similar element, and now you can see that it has a width. It's amazing. What the heck was going on previously? Why didn't it have a width? I'll still experiment, but so in this case, I can just simply say stroke color and type line, and then of course you need to play a little, because sometimes you might have the same stroke color and line, but it's rare that you have all the properties the same. So opacity, especially if you have something like the size guide where it's a generated content, so it will have the same width, the same opacity, etc. But in this case, I would just select stroke color and type line and click run. And with that, I only selected those type of elements, and then I can group it, and I'm back with my grouping. So actually this is pretty powerful. But what I was thinking, we could still tag elements with a custom name and allow you to select based on that name, and I can see the value. So I can see that in certain drawings you might have type of elements that you want to tag with a certain value and be able to select only those, and it might be various type of elements with various properties, but it has the same value tag, and that helps you. So that's the script that I was thinking we could create together. But I thought before going there, it's just useful to understand this. And then back here, let me just see what's going on. So I create this line, that's great. And why doesn't this have a width? That's the super interesting thing. So let's do this. I'm going to open, so we are now going to start to do a bit of scripting. So this is this is Control-Shift-I or Command-Option-I to open the developer console.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Jolt, is it possible that a line simply does not have a width but only a length and a thickness, which mathematically would make sense to me?
Yes and no. I mean, the issue I'm facing is this is a line and this is a line, and this line here has a width. Right?
Yeah, weird. Okay.
So I'm super surprised. So
I just tried it out as well, and the lines I'm drawing do have widths and heights. So yeah.
Yeah, what the heck is going on here? But let's take a look at this. So now so this is the developer console, and I thought so this is Control-Shift or Command-Option-I. I usually start with defining my Excalibur Automate object. And whenever I develop a script, I first develop it in the developer console and then move it into a script file. I find this interactive way of working with Excalibur scripts, but also Obsidian super helpful. But so I start with defining the EA object, and then I will set view. This function just simply connects Excalibur Automate with the drawing that I'm looking at. And let's just look at the element EA get view selected element. So I have this function that will return the selected element in the view. And we can take a look, and it has a width. But interestingly, the width is a very small number. I wonder, what if I turn off snap to objects and try it like this? And now it has a width. What if I turn snap to objects back and look at it this way? Frankly, there's definitely somewhere a bug. So I don't understand why an element doesn't have, now it has a width. But if I create it with snap to objects turned on, then by default, it doesn't get a width. So you can see why I know it doesn't have a width is because it's 10 to the minus 7. So this number is, so there's, and I'm pretty sure this is not an Obsidian bug. This is from the Excalibur package. Anyway, so we understand what was with the width. But so Nadav, if we were to create this script in a way that we want to custom tag elements, so that's my mindset now, that we want to create a script where I can tag elements. So let's maybe talk a little bit about what you see here. So the element, so all I did so far was queried the active view and looked at the selected element. And here I can see all the properties of the selected element. And there's a property in Excalibur called customData. That is what the name says. So it's customData. It's data that will be also preserved if you copy paste to excalibur.com, but Excalibur itself doesn't use it for anything. You can add data to it. And by the way, just a fun fact, if I have this text here, let me maybe, oh, this is good. Okay, so sample text, I'm going to zoom in or enlarge it so you can see it. So I have this sample text, and if I make this black, so I have this text here. If I take my highlighter pen, for example, and I highlight this, so this is when it's in the background, then, or maybe if I take the mind map style organic line, the logic I have built around this line, let's just look at this, EA get view selected element. If you look at this line, you will see that I'm actually here using the custom data for this line, and the stroke options of all the properties of how the stroke should look like are defined here. So this is just to highlight that some elements have custom data, and that custom data is used. So why am I sharing this? Because when we can we can easily add custom data to an element and select it. We're going to do it in a second. But I need to keep in mind that custom data might be used by scripts or by even functionality in the plugin. So you need to add and remove custom data in a way that you preserve the existing custom data. If you overwrite it, then nothing is a disaster, but it will have potentially consequences. Yeah. And by the way, stop me. So I'm super familiar with these tools here. So stop me if you need guidance on what you're seeing here. So I'm moving fast, but I'm also happy to slow down and explain what you're seeing here. So just anyone shout if you need that. But so I thought, yeah, go on.
Okay, sorry, just a quick question. Can you select by angle? I did not see the angle property in that.
Yes, you can. You can select by angle, but you need to have an angle that is non-zero. So if I select this line and turn it like this, and then go to select similar element, then I don't see the angle. Then you cannot, but we'll look at, I thought you could, but we can.
Yeah, I saw it on the list of properties in the console, and I thought it might be interesting.
Yeah. So for sure, we will anyway look at this script, and yeah, I don't have the angle here, but I'll show you how you can add that to the script, and we can even update the script. So that's the, but keep in mind the angle is so this line, if I select this line, so EA select get view selected element. So if I take a look at this line here, the angle is going to be 0. Right? Even though the line has a slope, and that is because the angle is not about the slope of the line, but the angle of the rotation of the object. So if I rotate it like this, then it's going to have an angle, because then you will see that it now has an angle, but that is not the angle of the line. You can calculate the angle of the line based on, I guess, the width and the height. So if you wanted to generate an angle, and again, you can update the select similar elements based on that. But so here, if I would draw a line like this again, then, and look at this, then of course the angle, as I explained, is 0, but with the using the width and wherever the height is, which, why don't I find the height? Oh, there we go. Yeah, there you go. So with simple trigonometry, you can calculate the angle from these two values. It's slightly trickier than that, and that is because you need to understand how the points are processed, because so imagine this line, and then I'm going to make a copy of this line and flip it horizontally. This line will have the same height and width, but points are, so Excalidraw will always consider the height and width in an absolute manner. So this also has the same height and width, but the points will be negative points. So you can see here that how the bottom, so it requires a bit more thinking. So if you calculate the angle, Of course, now assuming that this is maybe 45 degrees, then this would be what is it, 135. That of course this would also come out to 45 unless you do the logic to understand how the points slope, the first and the last point, and based on that you calculate. And also you would need to think about what do you do if it has 3 points, how do you calculate so angle is not such a trivial thing, but with these data, it's a beautiful project to work on. So I think
I was just wondering if we could quickly select objects that are parallel to each other or something like this, which is why I was curious about the angle being available. It's but it's fascinating. I also see a -0 there, which I haven't generally encountered. So
that's probably a rounding issue, but yes. So -0 is yeah. Okay.
But yeah, this was fascinating. Thanks so much. Sorry to take you on a tangent, but
tangent. Yeah, but since we're talking about angles, tangent is actually meaningful. Right. Okay, so but back to the custom data. So let's, as a first step to get us started, add a custom data to this text here, and then let's see how we can select it. By the way, so here I have what you can observe. The way I'm doing this is if I start to type EA and press the dot, I get all the available functions and properties here. And for the most part, if you want to get help on any of these functions, you can type EA help, and then you can type EA get view selected elements, for example. And you don't, in this case, I don't have the opening and closing bracket. I just type in the name and press enter. And there you go. I get in response a help that get the selected element in the view. If more are selected, get the first. So if you're, so the way I'm using, well, the developer console has this awesome property that it will prompt you with the available functions. And I have this help feature built that you can type EA help for any of the functions, and that is going to give you feedback on what that function is about. And I think that's just good. But let's add the custom data to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all run EA clear. What this does is it cleared anything previously I had in EA. When you're doing an Excalibur script, you don't need to do this. Excalibur automate comes empty, but if you were doing something before in Excalibur, it's just healthy to clear the memory, because you might end up with unexpected results otherwise. And what you need to understand is you cannot directly modify elements in the view. That is going to cause unexpected results. So the way Excalibur is built, it assumes that an object stays unchanged, and there's a process for changing objects in the screen. And this is important because this is a core element of making sure that the Excalibur is fluid as you update the scene, because otherwise it would always need to update each of the elements and it would be super slow. So the way you can change the properties of an element is you need to first copy it into Excalibur Automate. There you can, it's like you take the part out of the engine, you put it on the workbench, you work on it in the workbench, and then you place it back into the scene. That's what we're going to do. The way you do it is the following. I'm going to run EA copy view elements to EA for editing, and I'm going to set which elements I want. I want the EA get view selected elements. So the difference between EA get view selected element and elements, so note the Perl, the S, is elements will return all of the selected elements. It's going to return an array. Maybe before we do this, let me just show you the difference. So EA get view selected elements returns a list of elements, while EA get view selected element returns an individual item. So this is the same item, but in this case, it's a list. And of course, if I have multiple elements selected, then selected elements will return all of them, and selected element will return the first one in the sequence. In this case, it seems it's the line that it returns. So that's what we read here also in the description. And why am I showing you this? It's because copy view elements to EA for editing requires a list to be provided as input. And again, I won't show you this each time, but just to show you, so if I run the help, you will see that copy view selected elements is looking for a list of XCollyDraw objects. And here's what it does. So I'm going to do this. With this, I moved both of these elements over to my workbench. So if now I look at EA get elements, it will have two items. This is also a point to understand that probably you notice that here I have in the function name, I say get view selected elements, and I can also get EA get view elements, which is going to return all the elements, all the 52 elements in the view. So when I have the view in the word or in the function name, it talks about the view that you're seeing here. It talks about the scene. When I don't have the view in the function name, so get elements, then I'm looking at what's on my workbench. So this is everything in the car, and so get view elements is everything in the car. EA get elements is everything on my workbench. And now I can do the following. And for now, we're going to mess up this line as well. So you will also see, Nadav, what happens when we change the custom data without considering what was the previous custom data. I'm going to update well, maybe before we go there, that's good. So I'm going to do the following. I'm going to iterate. So I take all the elements, and for each of them, each of the elements, I'm going to do the following. I'm going to take the element, and I'm going to set custom data to have a value of, I don't know, groups. And let's imagine we will have a solution where you can have multiple groups. So this is going to be group A, like that. So now I'm going to update all the elements in XCollyDraw Automate. So these two elements, I'm going to update to add this custom data to each of the elements. So let's just take a look here. You can look at my free draw. The free draw now has this custom element, custom data. We are going to override that. So if I press enter here, and I again take a look at EA elements, then you will see that my free draw line now has a single custom data called groups, and it says group A. So we've done this. And if I now want to move this data back into the view, I need to run EA add elements to view. And if I press enter, then in this case, of course, so probably we would see more with a thin thick line, because this straight line it doesn't change so much with this setting. But so what happened now is, if I select this element in the view, EA get view selected element, then that element, the text element, will have this custom data. And so now I can do my simple script to select all the elements in the view that have custom data groups group A. And the way I would do it is EA get view elements. And I'm going to filter this list. And each element I will decide if it's in the filter or not, based on the following criteria. So I'm going to say this is return. First of all, I need to check if the element has custom data. Then, does the element have custom data groups? And if it has custom data in groups, then I want to check if custom data groups includes group A. And this way we can also do, and you can see it already prompts me that there are going to be two results with this. So you can see here, these are my two results. We can do a second round and maybe add group B to an element here, maybe to this arrow. So if we want to do that, just to repeat ourselves. So I'm first going to clear EA, because EA now on the workbench, I still have the previous elements. So let me just show you that if I get elements here, it still has the two elements. So adding the elements to Excalibur doesn't clear the workbench. You can still continue to work on it. So I need to first clear my desk. So clear. And then I'm going to EA copy view elements for editing, EA get view selected elements. And then we are going to, I'm pressing now the up arrow. So the up and down arrow helps you navigate your previous scripts. So I want to go here and here. This element I'm going to add to group B, like that. And then let's add this back to the view. Okay, it would be faster. EA add elements, not to view, but not to frame, but to view. And now if I run my filter, group A is going to return a single element, and group B is going to return one element. So group A returns two elements, you can see. Or I can even write this like this. I can also say that and or group B, and this should return us three elements, because now what I'm doing is I'm filtering for elements that have IDs, group IDs A and B. And so this is the basic architecture that I'm thinking we can build. We can create a script that helps you attach IDs to elements, custom IDs, that helps you delete them, and from then on if you standardize on these group names in your drawings, then you will be able to pick and choose based on additional dimensions. I mean, this could even be the basis of a script there. So for example, let's do this. This is going to be interesting. And then I'm going to stop and let you ask questions because I can get carried away, but I see a bit of an opportunity here. So imagine the following. I actually am going to take the negative. So the script I want to write, and this is a request I get oftentimes, that it would be great to have layers in the way that I can select which layer I want to work on, and everything else is either hidden or locked so it doesn't get in the way. And we can build that script now, because we can do the following. I can create this list of elements. I'm going to add an exclamation mark here, which means I'm negating the value. So the exclamation mark means it's not the value. So I'm looking for all the elements that are not in group A or B and does not have custom data, etc. I want all of these elements, and so these are going to be the elements to lock, for example. So I'm just going to put this in a list, and then I'm going to do the following. I'm going to, again, clear Xcolor Automate. I'm going to do EA copy elements for editing elements to lock, like this. And then I'm going to EA get elements for each element I want to think element locked equals true, like this. And then EA add elements to, it's always the elements to view, and hopefully now only these items are selectable, everything else is locked. Of course, I could also have set their opacity to something, but so this can be pretty helpful, because this way you can have a script where you have a drop-down menu, you select which groups you want to lock or unlock, and I can definitely see that this is a power tool. But yes, I promised I'm going to stop here, so I'm stopping here, and let me know questions, because I can imagine that this is already quite deep in the details.
This might sidetrack again, but like I can see how that can be really powerful. But if I imagine like having maybe 2, 3, 4 groups, and then being able to choose to select basically one group and lock everything else, how hard would it be to make that hotkeyable, for example? So I don't know.
Oh, it's extremely easy.
Have number value, yeah, okay, because like from a power using perspective, if you could have like groups 1 to 5 or whatnot, and could easily with like 1 or 2 buttons switch between the groups, lock everything else. I mean, that's incredibly useful.
So let's build that. I mean, we have limited. I mean, we have as much time as we want, but we still have limited time. So I think I don't want to get in too much detail too quick. But yeah, so the way you would do this is you can assign a script. You can assign hotkeys to Xcolor Automate scripts. And that way, I think we could actually create our script of group A, B, or C, or D, and play with that. It requires a bit of thinking, but let's create a script. that will, for now, have a hard-coded group ID that it will lock and unlock everything else and just leave the element there, and then you can work on this further on. So yeah, I can see that 1 hour goes extremely quickly here. But let's look at the following. So I'm going to create a new script now. So I'm coming here to my Excalibur scripts folder, and this is going to be my new node, and the new node is going to be I don't know, power lock 1, because we said that we are going to assign various keys to lock 2, lock 3, lock unlock. Maybe that's the... Oh, I cannot have lock and unlock, whatever. Now, the way I like to start all my scripts is this little hack of just adding this JavaScript comment at the top, because from here on the script is going to be syntax highlighted. By the way, I'm doing the same, so sidetrack, but let me open a templater script for you. For example, so I'm doing the same with templater scripts. I turned off the templater auto. So templater has a syntax highlighting, but with large files, it slows down. So if I have a large Excalibur file open in Markdown view, then because of the templater syntax highlighting, it becomes slow. So instead, I'm doing the same trick with templater scripts, that I just add this comment at the top of the script. It creates a code block, but because it's in JavaScript comments, it's disregarded, and then I get a nicely color syntax highlighted text. But so let's start to write here. So I think we are going to just have group, and we're going to call this group A as a constant, and we're going to actually copy all of these nice scripts from here. So I'm going to, by the way, if I type here EA dot, then I get all the functions here. So I have a tooltip in here, and you can also see that here I also have immediately the description, the same description you can get with help. And also when you're writing an Excalibur Automate script, you have the utils utility package that you can use to create an input prompt, a long description, a suggester, and find out which script file you're in. So there's some utility features here as well. But for now, I want to bring elements to lock here, and here instead of group A, I'm going to type group, and we don't need the or, so this is, and we don't need this and this. Okay. Let's pull this like that. So I'm selecting the elements to lock, and then I can EA copy elements to view for editing. Elements.
I think you're missing one closing parenthesis, right? After
yes, I am. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. But we now missed a great debugging opportunity. But I'll show you that. As
Sorry.
No, it wasn't unintentional. So Because by the way, the debug, in this case, my debugging, so I would get an error and I would have no idea where the error comes from. So I would copy paste this script here and press enter, and I would get this error, unexpected token or whatever. I can click on this link and it would show me there the semicolon, and I could figure out that what's the issue. But so when I have a syntax error in the script, the easiest is to copy paste that script over to developer console, pressing enter, and it will automatically give you the syntax error. And clicking on this, you can navigate to the point in the file. So that's a pretty powerful approach. But so this is our script, and then we want it to not this, but we want it to lock and unlock. So let's do this. So I'm going to for now I'm going to do this very simple approach. First of all, it's always good to check. So if elements to lock dot length equals 0, then new notice nothing is selected and return. So we don't want to run on, and I'm going to create const is locked as my, and I'm now going to do a brute force approach. I'm going to elements to lock. I'm going to take the first element and take it and apply the locked value. So this way I know if I need to. So this is going to maybe, this is rather toggle lock and unlock. And I'm going to put a dash here as this is group A or group 1. But so I copy that here, and then we had get elements. Where did we have that? Otherwise, I'm just going to write it. There we go. Anyway, I think it's faster to write it. So EA get elements for each element. I want to element locked equals not is locked. So I'm toggling the value. So if it was locked, I'm unlocking. If it wasn't locked, then I'm locking. And then all I need to do is EA add elements to view, and we are done. I think we have our script. So if I open Scratchpad,
won't work. You removed the parentheses, the closing one, to show the debugging, and you didn't put it back.
There we go. All right. So that's yeah, a returning bug. All right. So so now now I cannot select this, but now if I run toggle lock unlock, then I should be able to. What happened? Did I get an error here? Let's clear this. Let's come here. So what did, or maybe, well, let's just see. EA set view and EA get view selected element. I just want to see. Oh, group A, that's good. So what's the issue here? That's spelled correctly, right? That seems group A, that seems like the same thing. Elements to, so let's do this. So we are going to do a bit of debugging. The best approach I found for debugging is I'm going to add debugger. That's a command that will only execute if I have the developer console open on the right hand side. So now if I run the script, I'm going to toggle lock unlock. It doesn't even execute. So what's going on here? There's an error. On caught. Oh, there's a syntax error we have here. Constant is... Okay, so I didn't need debugging. I just needed the equal sign there. So this was missing. Again, toggle lock and unlock. And I'm still now why hold on, there's two errors. There's still an error. Uncaught in Profis, element to lock is not defined. I'm sure I misspelled it. So because it's elements to lock. Okay. So toggle. There's still something in promise. Element to lock, where do I use that element to lock still? There you go.
The if statement, yeah.
And now everything can be selected. And now if I toggle again, then only this can be selected. And then what I would do is, so let's spend a few minutes on this still, in terms of how I would, so because this is good for one script, and then my idea is you can, I mean, I have lots of ideas here. So one idea is you could even so the basic idea is I can copy paste this script 3 or 4 times and assign my hotkeys to each of them. So of course I can toggle lock unlock 1. I can come to Obsidian hotkey settings, and I can type here toggle lock unlock, and I can bind a hotkey. Maybe I'm going to bind Control Alt 1. That's not good because that's already taken, but Control Shift 1. What about Control Shift 1? That's good. So Control Shift 1 is the lock unlock 1. Now we would probably need a hotkey for adding and removing something from group 1. And then, of course, if I copy paste this script and have 2, 3, 4, etc., then I can replicate the same idea. But so let's now write a second script for ourselves. And the second script is going to, this is new note. The second script is going to add toggle add to group 1. Maybe like this. This is going to be our script. So I'm going to, as a starting point, copy this entire script here. So what this script is going to do, and maybe it's a good practice to, that's what I typically do here. You can write your short description. So this script will lock, unlock all elements in the scene that are not in group A. Actually, it's just group A. And here I can add that this script will add or remove group A from selected elements. So the way I'm going to, so this is again, I have group A. What I was thinking previously is here in utils script file, I could take the base name of the script file and I could actually either use the entire script file name, or I would rather take this, so I would split the script file name at dash like this, and would take the first value, and that's going to equal to 1, and use that as the group name, and then I wouldn't need to update the group constant in each of my files. But okay, so that's now taking us on a tangent. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to const selected elements equals EA get view selected elements. Again, I'm going to take here a notice if selected elements length is 0, then we can just add this here. So this is good. We have our basic controls here. And then what I want to do is EA, actually we have this line here. I want to move these elements here, and I think for each of the elements we are going to do this. So EA get elements. For each element I want to do the following. I want to first of all check if const has group is the first question. So how do I decide that? This is how I decide it. So I create this variable for me to help decide if I need to remove or add the value. And then we're going to add the value, which is going to be a bit of a tricky, or remove the value, which is going to be a bit of a tricky go. Maybe this would be the right time to play a bit with ChatGPT. I think that can be also an interesting side quest. So let's do this. I'm going to play with ChatGPT a little to help with a function. So create a function. Okay, before that, I have an object that has a property called custom data. Custom data may be empty, may be null, or it may have values. Write a function that will add a string to an array in custom data, to an array stored in the, what's the name of our property here? Groups. And in some data groups, write a function that will add or remove a string from an array stored in custom data groups. Note that custom data groups might be undefined if custom data groups includes string, then it should remove it from the list. If it does not include it, it should add it. Let's see what happens. Okay, so that's very good. So if the object doesn't have custom data, it creates it. If it's not an array, groups is not an array, then it will create an empty array. Then it will check if the group is there. If the group is not there, then it will add the group. If the group is there, then it's going to remove that group. This is excellent. This is exactly the function we needed. So I'm going to copy this function over, and I'm just going to add it here, not like that, but like this. So this is exactly what we needed. And so the way we need to, and then I actually don't need the has group either. It's going to take care of this for me. So all I want to do is toggle group, and I want to push the element and group. That's all I need to do. And with this, and actually we can even just make it shorter like that. And this we don't need. This is all we need.
Question.
Yeah?
The get element, this returns all elements in the view or in the scene, right?
This get,
not only the selected ones.
No, so get elements is in Xcollider Automate. So this is what I explained, that
everything in the workbench, basically.
Yeah. So the logic for Xcollider Automate is you have your scene, that's the car, and you have the workbench, that's Xcollider Automate, and you always need to take the pieces that you work on, place it on the workbench, do your magic, and then place it back. And this is your function. And by the way, you can create new elements in the workbench and add it to the view, but it's always this mindset of I need to move it to the workbench, I do my stuff, and I need to move it back. I think this is going to actually work. So let's just see. Let's remove this. So not here, but here. Toggle add to group. Maybe it should give me some feedback of how many elements were added, but EA get view selected element. It should no longer have the group. And array is empty. So you can see that it doesn't have the group because the array is 0 length. And if I run it again, toggle add to group, then now it should have the value, and it has one element. It added the group. So this way I can now maybe ungroup this, and I can, I need to Control-Shift-1. I need to unlock everything. Yes. So I can select these elements, and maybe let's add this toggle add to group to a hotkey as well. So I'm going to come to hotkeys, toggle add to group, and this is going to be, oh boy, Control Windows 1. That was not a good choice. It opened something on Windows, so Shift Windows 1. That's also not a good choice. So I think the Windows key is not good. So Shift Alt 1. That's good. So Shift Alt 1 is going to add elements to the group and remove them. And Control Shift 1 is going to unlock and lock. So I have these elements here. So I'm going to add this to the group, and now I'm going to lock, and hopefully these elements are selectable and nothing else is selectable. Yeah. Now, maybe to close off, we can, so I do want to spend some time just getting some feedback if this is at all meaningful and works for you. But before we do that, I thought let's add a little bit of feedback of what's happening. So first of all, I'm going to change this and return true and return false. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be returning true if I added an element to the group and returning false if I didn't. Here I'm going to create this value of let added and deleted equal 1. I'm not sure if I can do this, but let's see what happens if I do this. Yeah, you can do this, yes. So, and here I'm going to do the following, that I'm making this into a bit of a function. So result, if this is true, I mean, we can here, this is not good practice, but we can be ugly here. So if true, then we added something, else we deleted something, right? So that's all we need to do. And here at the end, I can post a message that new notice, and we can write. So this is the backtick. I like the backtick. It's a more concise way of writing a string. Added elements and removed deleted elements from group. I think this is now a proper message here. And probably the other message we need here is we should actually add a message here that new notice, and in this case is logged. Depending on the value of is logged, I'm going to so if it's logged, then I'm unlocking. So if it's logged, unlocked elements, or logged elements, like this. I think that's enough feedback, right? So if it was logged, then I unlocked it. So this is the short form for the if else. The question, so here's the condition, question mark is the if, and this is if true, colon if false. So let's look at what happens. So first of all, I unlocked elements. So that's everything is now unlocked. That's great. I can now lock the elements. Now only group A can be selected. And then let's maybe remove sample text and instead add these two lines, because this is going to toggle. So here the response should be removed 1, added 2, but I got an error. Token else. Okay, where's the this doesn't like this approach. Why? I have no idea. But so we are going to probably, I need this. I don't have the colon there. I think that's the issue. Let's just take, I'm not sure, but we'll see. Yes. Added, didn't add and remove 2 elements. That's interesting. So there's still some, that's interesting, but we will so log the elements. Okay, so there is an issue here. Return false. We can do that, but I'm not yet understanding what's going on here. Let's make this, but this is not the issue, but still looks nicer. Why was it none? Am I misspelling something? Oh, by the way, it starts with 0. I wonder. I'm just going to go the old-fashioned way, but I don't think this is the issue. Let's try again. So I'm going to unlock. I'm going to take these elements here and added 1 element, remove 2. Now it seems to work, and then I can lock. And so I think we have a script. So let me pause here. First, let's see if you have any questions in terms of the script we created. I think actually this is an extremely powerful script, so I'm going to play with this because I can definitely see a power usage here that's going to help my workflow. But let's see if you have questions on the script, and then let's have a bit of a feedback. So is this meaningful? Can you see this as an ongoing thing, as what we could call Techno-Visual PKM? How would you improve on this? Any feedback? But let's first look at the script itself. So anything that would help clarify what we've just done and how we did it.
I mean, from my standpoint, I'm very much still learning a lot. I'm very much a beginner, so but I'm getting a lot out of watching you do it. So I'm sure there's more experienced people who might have more specific feedback, but I'm just enjoying, as I'm learning as a very beginner about scripting. So thanks. It's helpful to watch.
Yeah, and also I guess having a recording of this is also pretty helpful. But yeah, Max, I see you came off mute.
To this automation thing, and I am very, very interested in having also a copy of these scripts here to exercise a little bit. And if you can put it somewhere, would be fine, would be great, so that I can try it out and experiment a little bit by my own. But
yeah, absolutely. So I am going to share this, and if I think about Techno-Visual PKM, then the way I imagine it work is we would have a shared workplace where each of the videos and scripts would go. For now, I consider this video and session rather on the success side than the flop. So I am going to publish this video, and I'm going to also include the links in the video. But right after this session, I'm going to drop it in our Discord, so you can actually find it and play with it if you want immediately. But probably later today or tomorrow, I'm going to push this video to my channel. So there you can dive back in to see some details, and I'll also have a link to GitHub where you can find the scripts that we created. Good. Other questions or comments? Anything? Well, first again on the technical bit, if there's anything.
For me, technically, it's pretty clear. So I'm not a JavaScript developer, but I have a developing background, so that was easy to follow. Cool start to get into more scripting with Excalibur Automate, and I would love the idea of having such sessions. I think I could imagine the interesting part is how to achieve a common entry level of some sort, because I would assume it's easy to go very deep into some stuff, and then if you don't have some foundation, it's hard to follow. But I might be mistaken on that.
Yeah, so that's where I'm I'm with you. So that's my fear as well, that we can very quickly dive very deep. But maybe the question to Max and Nadav and others as well. My other assumption is, if we have a repeating cycle of these sessions and we always pick up a topic that's interesting, maybe next time we could talk about the angles as and how you would calculate that. I think it's actually pretty simple with a bit of help from ChatGPT. I think it is fully doable. But my hope would be that through these cycles of going through these scripts, you can also build up a basic understanding. And of course, there's always the chance to ask, and then this can become a kind of a workflow.
Yeah, I think I also found this quite helpful. I think I've done like a little bit of data view scripting. I haven't really used, I've used Excalibur in a very, I guess in a very low-tech fashion, like just really as a UI, and I haven't taken advantage of some of the scripts that are already there, but I haven't tried to make any of my own. So I've always been curious about that. So I think this would be really really nice, especially that it's recorded and you can go back to it. Again, I'm not a developer, but between ChatGPT and Copilot, I've managed to somehow get what I want most of the time for data view and other. I've even something that I couldn't imagine doing a couple of years ago. I've been able to write my own little Obsidian plugins for very niche requirements that I have, and it's been fun playing around with that. So I'm very intrigued and sort of generally interested. I've been using Obsidian Canvas a little bit for getting a bunch of stuff done. I think it'd be maybe offline. I could share what I'm doing with Canvas and how I find it limiting, and maybe if that's easier to do in Excalibur, that would be very nice for me, for example.
Yeah, off the cuff, I can say it's going to be easier in Excalibur.
Right. I can imagine.
I have no no doubts in that Obsidian canvas is extremely limited. I mean, I can see how some people enjoy limited options because it simplifies stuff, but if you want to get anything done, I think you're better off.
Yeah, I think it's the canvas interface is like a little less intimidating, and it's like you said, I think it's just a little more user friendly to get started. And to begin with, I think I had simple requirements, but then I realized that okay, maybe I want to align these things together in a certain like even very simple things. You realize that it's a fair amount of manual work, and I found myself thinking that maybe if I had started this exercise in Excalibur, that automation would have served me well at the later stage of that exercise. But at least I now have a sense of what I want, and that I think it's easier to come into Excalibur with a concrete set of goals, I guess. So yeah, I'm happy to collect my wits and share in the Discord group, I guess, ideas for things that may be useful to script out, I guess.
Awesome, and we have a channel for the Excalibur. What is it? The Techno-Visual PKM in our Discord. So that's a good place to start.
I will spam there if feel free to ignore it if it doesn't make any sense, but just in case it's a prompt that others find useful, then maybe we could pick it up for a potential future session. But thank you so much for today. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks, first of all, for a great presentation. It was easy to follow. I would like to ask how you would like to organize it. Could we have like another Git repository where we could contribute on and test things out and discuss maybe in the future sessions? That would be great.
Yeah, so there are many questions here. So my basic idea is this would be sort of a club with a fee. So you would have some sort of a monthly or quarterly or whatever club fee, and then we would have regular sessions. In terms of prioritizing what we talk about, now it was easy because I had a chat with Nadav and we had a single idea to work on, so there wasn't much room for competition of ideas. But we would need some sort of a voting and backlog approach as well as a repository. I would want to indeed keep this to some extent exclusive, or so this definitely requires time and effort, etc. So I wouldn't want to open this up. So in this respect, what goes on Git or how we manage it in maybe in Podium or Podia, we can create, or maybe on Discord. Those are the practical details that we need to work out. But first of all, I wanted to have this pilot run of how such a session would look like. But yeah, and by the way, any ideas, absolutely welcome. So please in Discord, share your thoughts and let's have a discussion how this could work, what would work for you and how you would organize it.
Sure, sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, so then if there's nothing else, then I think we'll close here. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed it. It seems that you enjoyed it as well, so I think we can call that a success. And I'll keep you posted on the next steps.
Great. Thanks, Zsolt.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.